What exactly are we celebrating when we recognize Juneteenth? The story begins on January 1st, 1863, with President Abraham Lincoln. This is the original handwritten Emancipation Proclamation. It declared that all enslaved people held in Confederate states were legally free. But a signature in Washington, D.C. did not mean immediate freedom for people on the ground in the South. At the time, the country was in the middle of the Civil War. A legal decree meant nothing without the presence of the Union Army to actually enforce it. For millions of enslaved individuals, actual liberation remained stalled by the reality of ongoing combat. If the promise of freedom was made in 1863, we have to look at why it took 2.5 years to reach everyone, and how it was finally fulfilled. The legal promise of the proclamation required the physical advancement of Union troops to become a reality. That progress was slow. It took until 1865 for the war to grind to a conclusion, and for the Union to reach the furthest edges of the Confederacy. This vintage map shows Texas as it appeared during the conflict, a deep Confederate stronghold where slavery continued unchallenged. Because Texas was so far west and isolated from the primary battlefields, it remained largely untouched by the movement of Union troops for years. Without a military presence to back the law, legal decrees were powerless, leaving thousands in Texas enslaved long after the rest of the country had changed. That isolation finally ended on June 19, 1865, when Union ships arrived in Galveston, Texas. General Gordon Granger led those troops, arriving with the authority to announce that the war was over. Granger officially enforced the order that all enslaved people in Texas were free, finally bringing the weight of the federal government to the state. For families like this one, the announcement meant an end to years of delayed justice. The promise made years earlier was finally a physical reality. The local celebration of that day, the merging of the words June and 19th, became the holiday we recognize today. Today, Juneteenth serves as a national anchor for reflecting on the persistence of systemic barriers and the resilience required to overcome them. The holiday provides a space to examine the realities of delayed justice and the long path toward equity. We see this reflection in modern celebrations, where communities gather for music, storytelling, and the continuation of family traditions. Just as the 1863 decree required physical action to become real, the work of modern progress requires active, continuous community involvement. The holiday honors the enduring strength and the vast contributions of Black Americans throughout history. It is an opportunity for every person to engage with this history and reflect on the lessons it offers. Juneteenth serves as a reminder that the work toward true equity is an ongoing journey, not a finished chapter. Ultimately, this celebration calls for collective responsibility, pushing us to build a future where every individual has the opportunity to thrive.